Have you ever shared something deeply personal, your dream, your plan, your pain, and instantly felt a shift in the room? That quiet moment when someone's smile fades, and you realize maybe you just gave away a piece of yourself to the wrong person. It's strange how something so intimate, so innocent, can become the seed of judgment, gossip, or worse, sabotage. In today's world of oversharing, privacy has become power. And sometimes, what you don't say speaks louder than anything you post, text, or reveal. In this video, we'll explore the 5 things you should never share with anyone, no matter how close they are. Not because you're hiding, but because you're protecting something sacred, your peace, your progress, and your future. Before we dive in, if you're someone who values wisdom over noise, truth over trends, consider subscribing channel. Silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom wrapped in restraint. We live in a culture that rewards exposure. Oversharing is branded as authenticity, and vulnerability is marketed like a product. But here's the truth no one talks about. The more people know about you, the more they think they understand you, and the more power they believe they have over you. Keeping certain things to yourself isn't about being secretive. It's about being strategic. It's about choosing peace over performance and clarity over chaos. Psychologists call it emotional boundaries, the ability to know where you end and others begin. The moment you start telling everyone your struggles, your plans, or your finances, you start inviting expectations, opinions, and even subtle forms of control. People begin projecting their fears onto your dreams, their limitations onto your efforts. There's also the social comparison trap, a proven psychological effect where the more others know about your life, the more they measure themselves against you, or worse, measure you against their own biases. It breeds envy, distrust, and slowly your personal truth becomes public property for others to dissect. But when you keep sacred things sacred, you preserve a rare kind of power, the power to act without interruption, to heal without interference, and to grow without scrutiny. You're not just guarding your information, you're guarding your energy. So before you share, ask yourself, will this empower me or expose me? And here are 5 things you should never share. Success whispers. But the moment you turn up the volume, the world starts talking back, with envy, expectation, and sometimes sabotage. It's tempting, isn't it? When you finally crack the code, built something, won something, figured something out, you want to share it. To inspire, to teach, maybe even to prove the doubters wrong. But here's what no one tells you. The secret to your success was never meant to be public. Because success isn't just the result, it's the process. And that process is messy. It's filled with decisions, sacrifices, and shortcuts tailored to your life, your timing, and your circumstances. When others try to replicate it, they don't get the same outcome. They get frustrated. And when they fail, guess who they blame? You. For not telling them the full story. For keeping something back. For being lucky instead of smart. Success also attracts something far more dangerous than imitation, resentment. Not everyone claps when you win. Some people clap just loud enough to learn what you did, so they can compete, undercut, or criticize. Remember, you can inspire without exposing. Tell your story, but don't give away the blueprint. Share your values, not your vault. Let your results speak, but leave room for mystery. Because in that mystery, you keep your edge. As the saying goes, never teach them the recipe. Let them taste the dish and wonder how you did it. Not everyone who listens is a friend. Some are just collecting pieces of your pain to retell it with their own twist. We've all been there, those moments when the weight is too heavy and all we want is to unload. We dial that trusted friend, vent our hearts out, and for a moment, it feels lighter. But what happens next? Your story travels. It evolves. It becomes entertainment at someone else's dinner table. Here's the hard truth. Most people don't care to help you. They care to know about you. Psychologists say that when we overshare our struggles, we trigger 3 kinds of people. The sympathizers, who mean well but can't really help. The gossipers, who turn your pain into their punchline. And the silent competitors, who are quietly glad it's you and not them falling apart. There's a reason therapists get paid to listen. It's a skill. Your coworkers, cousins, and casual friends, they're not trained to hold space. And when they mishandle your pain, it's not always cruelty, it's capacity. Sharing your problems with the wrong people doesn't solve them. It multiplies them. Now you're not just carrying the burden, you're managing how others perceive that burden. This doesn't mean you should suffer in silence. It means you should choose your confidants wisely. A mentor, a therapist, a journal, even solitude. Because not every wound needs a witness. Some just need time and quiet to heal. And next time you're tempted to vent, ask yourself, do I need to be heard or do I need to be healed? The moment you speak your dream out loud, the world starts measuring it. And sometimes, that measurement becomes your prison. There's a strange phenomenon that happens when you tell people your dreams. At first, their reactions might feel validating, encouraging, but slowly, without realizing, it begins to change you. You start seeking their approval, their feedback, their permission. And here's the twist. The more people know about your vision, the more you risk building it for their expectations, not your own. Science backs this up. A psychologist named Peter Gallwitzer discovered something remarkable. When we talk about our goals, our brains release dopamine, the same chemical we get from achieving the goal. In other words, talking about it tricks your brain into thinking you've already done the work. And when that happens, your drive decreases. You feel satisfied with the applause instead of the progress. There's also another danger: external influence. You may see a future full of light, but others, shaped by their fears, failures, or narrow vision, only see darkness. They don't mean harm, but their doubts can plant seeds in your mind. Maybe they're right. Maybe this is too risky. And just like that, your dream gets smaller, not because it's impossible, but because it's been exposed too early to people who weren't meant to carry it. The truth is, dreams are fragile in their infancy. They need silence. They need shelter. Not everyone deserves front-row access to your future. So protect it. Nurture it. Build in the dark, so when it shines, it blinds the doubt. And if you must share it with someone who has the wisdom to listen, the strength to support, and the humility not to judge. Until then, let your actions whisper the future into existence. The moment you reveal how much you make, you stop being a person and start becoming a number in someone else's mind. Money is one of the fastest ways to shift how people see you, not always for the better. Tell someone you make less than they expected. They might doubt your worth. Tell them you make more. Suddenly, everything you say feels filtered through jealousy, judgment, or silent competition. We like to think income is just a number, but in reality, it's a mirror. It reflects people's insecurities, their ambitions, and their assumptions about value. Sharing how much you earn can. Strained friendships must be nice. Breed resentment. Why them? Not me. Invite manipulation. You can afford it, right? Change your identity in social circles, from relatable to unreachable. And even worse, it opens the door to unsolicited advice. Wait, you make that much? You should invest in real estate. Or worse, you make that much, and you still drive that car? Here's the truth. Transparency doesn't always equal trust. Yes, there are moments where openness about money is valuable, like mentoring someone, discussing pay equity, or working with a financial advisor. But random disclosure? It rarely helps you, and often hurts you. Your income is not your character. Your bank balance is not your identity. So the next time someone asks, how much do you make? Remember, you're not obligated to give them that access. You can say, politely but firmly, enough to take care of what matters, and not enough to waste time explaining it. Because real wealth isn't loud. It's quiet, secure, and selective. Every family has its cracks. But when you let outsiders peek through them, they don't help you patch the walls, they widen them. It's natural to want to talk when things get messy at home. Maybe your partner isn't listening. Your parents let you down. Your sibling crossed a line again. And you just need someone, anyone, to validate your frustration. But here's the thing. Family problems are like fire, controlled. They bring warmth. Uncontrolled, they burn everything down. And when you start sharing those problems with people outside your circle, even with the best intentions, the fire spreads. Because outsiders don't carry your family's history. They don't know the full story. They hear your version, your anger in the moment, and they form opinions, cast judgments, sometimes even take sides in battles they don't belong in. And here's what happens next. Your image of your loved ones changes, not through healing, but through echo chambers. Your listeners now see your family differently, and they never unsee it. reconciliation becomes harder. Because your private pain has now become public perception, it gets worse when you share online. What feels like venting on a rough night becomes a permanent digital scar. A story that can be screenshot, shared, or silently used against you later. What once was personal now belongs to the algorithm. This doesn't mean you should suppress real pain, but there's a difference between processing and publishing. If something's hurting you deeply, seek counsel, not comments. Find a professional, a mediator, a trusted elder, someone who can guide, not just gossip. Because at the end of the day, families aren't perfect. They're human. They fracture. They fail. But they also forgive. And that forgiveness becomes a lot harder when the wounds were broadcast to an audience who never had the right to watch. So protect the sanctity of your household. Let your home be a place of growth, not gossip. Of resolution, not reputation. And always ask, will this comment bring me closer to peace or just closer to pity? In a world that constantly asks, what's on your mind? The boldest answer may be, nothing I need to explain. We spent the last few minutes exploring 5 things you should never share with anyone. Not because you're hiding, but because you're healing, because you're building, because you're finally starting to value your peace more than other people's opinions. Every secret you protect, every silence you choose, is a form of power. It's not about being mysterious, it's about being intentional. Ask the most grounded, successful, fulfilled people you know. They'll tell you. They didn't get there by broadcasting every step. They moved in silence. They guarded their energy. They chose privacy over performance. Because when you keep the right things to yourself, your dreams stay pure. Your relationships stay protected. Your growth becomes yours, not a public project open to feedback, ridicule, or sabotage. So the next time you feel the urge to overshare, pause. Ask yourself, is this for clarity or just for comfort? Will this protect me or expose me? Not everything sacred needs an audience. And the most powerful version of you is the one the world hasn't fully figured out yet. If this video resonated with you, if it made you pause, reflect, or even rethink how much of yourself you give away too easily, then take a moment to protect something today. Your thoughts, your plans, your peace. And if you're someone who values depth over drama, clarity over noise, I invite you to subscribe. Here, we build quietly, grow intentionally, and speak only when it adds value. Also, what's one thing you stopped sharing that changed your life for the better? Drop it in the comments. Let's create a space where silence is power and wisdom is shared, not overshared. Thanks for watching. Stay wise, stay grounded, and remember, not everything precious needs to be proven.